Alright, everybody, you know the drill. This is That Exciting Dude. That's right, this is That Exciting Dude. You know the drill, you know the drill. That is the intro music. But now it's time for the podcast intro. You are listening to Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. I am your captain speaking, That Exciting Dude, or as some people say, Ted. You know the drill. Let's hit the foul button, the whistle, the deer, the turkey. Gobble, gobble, gobble. To hear more of this gobbling voice, you are most likely listening to me via Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Deezer, Castbox, Podchaser, and I just realized Spreaker, the place that I use for my podcasting. Oh, and there's one last place. There's one last place. Apple as well. Finally approved. It's been, 2 weeks now? Week and a half? 3 weeks? It could be debatable. But yes, finally on Apple as well. Thank goodness for the Apple gods. I think eating an apple day helped with that one. Alright, but lastly we need to give thanks to this artist, Brock Hewitt, for it's Brock Hewitt Stories and Sound with his song or beat called Ages Ago. The artist is called Heartman, and his song or beat music, whatever you want to call it, is called Paradise Island. Then the last person or group or whatever is called Tropicana, and his beat is called Sound Roll. And all of these can be, those last three can be found from upbeat.com, UPPBEAT.com. You can make a free account there and get 3 songs every month, which is actually not the case, because I can only get 1 of the 3. I probably misread it when I first signed up there at upbeat.com. And long story short is I can only get 1 song now. I think after 30 days then I unlock the second spot. Then after the other 30 days, this is the free. I mean, you can pay for it and get unlimited. I just choose not to. So yeah, that is that. Like I said, you are listening to Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. I am That Exciting Dude, or Ted. That Exciting Dude, which is me, you can find in many other places along the social media spectrum, like YouTube, TikTok, Twitch. Those are 3 places that you can find That Exciting Dude. Alright, we have an exciting podcast. What's so exciting about this is actually the second time that I'm doing this. But I know that it's going correctly this time. But we're going to tell you after the first sprinkle messages of it's time for some sports. If you're not into sports, you can skip ahead. I'm going to say 5 minutes. I actually have a little bit to share in this sprinkle of sports. I'm going to say go to the 4 or 5 minutes ahead from now. So you can go to like the 9-minute mark. We'll say the 8-minute mark. We can do this in 4 minutes. Come on, folks. We're going to do this in 4 minutes. Alright, first for sports, we have the NFL. The Lions beat the Bears in a very, very, very exciting comeback game, 31-26. I encourage you to watch it, because I still haven't. But I've seen a lot of clips on TikTok, and wow, was it amazing. Especially if you know where they were at 4 minutes left in the game. Right there is all you need to know. Alright, the Packers beat the Chargers 23-20. The Broncos beat the Vikings 21-20. Then for the Monday Night Football game, it was a rematch of the Super Bowl. and the Kelsey brothers. No Taylor Swift there, so guess what that means? The Eagles beat the Chiefs 21-17. NHL, the Red Wings, my beloved Red Wings. There's a lot of L's in the stats for the game finals of the games. But hopefully this week and here on forward, they'll put a lot more W's than L's on the board. NBA, yeah, the Pistons suck. College football, my Notre Dame beat Wake Forest 45-7. Oh man, I did not mean to cough. I was going to quickly hit the button to mute it, but that did not happen. I apologize, and we're going to take a sip. All right, continuing on with sports here. Let's get the next background music going. We got 2 minutes left. All right, so tomorrow, Thanksgiving, gobble gobble, we have 3 NFL games. We have Green Bay at Detroit, and that is at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then we have the Washington Commanders at the Dallas Cowboys, or as I say, Cowgirls, at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we have San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks. And that is at 8:20 p.m. And then we have a bonus Friday game for Black Friday, which is really the Amazon Prime game that normally is on Thursday nights, but Amazon Prime is showing that game at 3 p.m. And that is the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets. And that is at 3 p.m. Look at that. Whoever skips ahead to 9 o'clock or to the 9-minute mark, they're missing out on 2 minutes of the bull crap that I'm going to be talking about here for the next 2 minutes. So in the beginning I talked about, here, we're doing this for the second time. Yes, because I did this podcast. I totally finished it. Well, first I had trouble doing my background musics, which should have been the first clue when I was only going 3 seconds in, and then they would stop. And it was bugging the shit out of me. It was driving me nuts. I kept going through all of them. Then I even loaded new ones on. I mean, this was like during the podcast, and I was just trying to figure out. Then I finally get done. I do the closing remarks, closing music and tune, and talking about that exciting dude, and yeah. And then I look up, and the final tally for the podcast was 7 minutes. And I'm thinking to myself, I probably almost gave 7 minutes with the sports in the beginning. And I'm like, something clearly is not right. And if you look right now at your phone or your dashboard or wherever the counter is, you're going to see we're at 8:25. Look at that. Look at that. And the backgrounds are working. This is a good sign that this is going to work. And of course, I got nothing up that I was totally planning on. So that makes it even better. What it makes it even better, even more better. I don't even know if that's a thing. But anyhow, is I only have a couple of sips left of my water. And then I am SOL. So the theme of this podcast is gonna have to go with the theme of the week, and that is Thanksgiving. What is Thanksgiving? So I collaborated a few things together to bring to the table of what I'm going to talk about for Thanksgiving. Now, everything that I bring to the table, I'm not going to say is totally accurate. All I'm going to say is I looked at several places along the web, the World Wide Web, and I just corroborated a lot of the same info that I was finding here and a lot of the same info I was finding here. Same info, same info, same info. So I'm like, okay, I'm finding all of this at all these places between universities and just regular websites and just, informational websites in general. So I'm like, guess what? It's got to be true for the most part. There's a couple things that are a little contradictory, and you'll see what I mean as we get talking about it. But long story short is, you can believe me, you cannot believe me, you can just listen and have fun. And let's begin talking about Gobble, 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 Thanksgiving. Sorry, sometimes I get confused in who I'm talking to. Okay, so first, I kind of just took this article. There was something previous that talked about the whole start of Thanksgiving. And it had to do with, like, back in, like, 1624. And it was, like, the Pilgrims and the Native Americans, the English, the settlers. There was a lot of things going on in this article. And even the next place that I looked at, there was a lot of things going on. So I'm just kind of skipping ahead. And I'm not teaching like the whole where Thanksgiving started. I just kind of thought, like, you know what, it's been a hot minute. Everyone knows that, has the depiction of, it was the Pilgrims and the Native Americans, and they unify, have this big meal, and yeah. So where we start with is right before Thanksgiving was introduced to always be the last Thursday of the month. I think this is right. This was either after that article or it was right before it. Now I'm contradicting myself. Okay, we're going to jump in. Anyhow, a lady by the name of Sarah Josepha Hale, she campaigned for a national Thanksgiving Day to promote unity. She finally won the support of President Abraham Lincoln on October 3rd, 1863, during the Civil War. Lincoln proclaimed a national day of Thanksgiving to be celebrated on Thursday, November 26th. And like I said, really, it's the rule of thumb is it's the last Thursday of November is Thanksgiving. So that's where that comes from. There's, like I said, there was something more previously, then there was something later on that they kind of put it in stone in Congress. I want to say it was like the 1920s, where they talked about it. It was like in stone about being for sure the last Thursday of every November, where Thanksgiving's going to be. All right, we're going to take a sip. Take another sip. But you can't guess what I'm drinking. If you guessed water, you are correct. Ding, ding, ding. All right, next on the board is, now this one you can kind of, the next two you can kind of play a little game with yourself, and it's called Are You Right or Are You Wrong? And guess what? There is no way that anybody else is going to know if you cheated. Catch my drift? Okay. So this one is Thanksgiving has a day of football games. Which two teams did they begin with? Now these started back in 1876, which enabled fans to add some rowdiness to the holiday. Alright, I'm going to give you a second here to think about it. What two teams kicked off the traditional football on Thanksgiving? Now remember, 1876. I'm taking a drink. Alrighty. If your answers is Yale versus Princeton, you are correct. and you have won a Thanksgiving dinner tomorrow on Thursday, wherever you're having Thanksgiving. And if you're not having Thanksgiving, then it's whatever the meal that you're having on Thanksgiving Day. Yeah. I know. All right, so the next little tidbit coming up is the Macy's Parade in New York City has continued this tradition since when? And again, I'll give you a little bit to think about it. All right. Are you thinking about when the Macy's Parade started in New York City? And obviously it has continued to today. It'll be on tomorrow morning from 8:30 a.m. until noon, I believe. Or it's 12:30. I think it's 8:30 to noon. All right, if you guessed the year of 1924, you are correct. Ding, ding, ding. Yes, since 1924, the annual Macy's Parade in New York City has continued that tradition, which means next year will probably be should be an amazing. I mean, it's always an amazing parade. Don't get me wrong, but I think next year, with it being 100 years, like, is it gonna be super amazing? I don't know. We will see. We'll have to wait till next year. All right, so next up, we kind of go back to that first article that I shared, and it was talking about the very first foods that were actually at Thanksgiving. And once again, you know, at this website I was getting X, at this website I was getting X, at this website I was getting X and Y, then at this website I was getting only Y, and then I was back to this website getting only X. So, you know, I kind of had to play the majority game of all of the places and reference places that I was going to. And a lot of places did start out and say this was not very well documented of what was actually at the very first Thanksgiving between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans. Just because of it was back in 1624 when the very first Thanksgiving took place. I believe that was the date. I'm going by memory. And I've thrown out a lot of dates. And like I said, I'm repeating this podcast. But anyhow, so they described the feast, the very first feast, as there was a lot of venison. There was a lot of wildfowl. There was lots of cod and bass. Corn. Corn bread. Porridge. And there was a lot of your basic farming vegetables, which included like carrots, beets, beans. I think cabbage was on the list. I unfortunately did not grab that part of the article. There was about 6 items, and I know I'm missing 2 of them or whatever. But it was a lot of, you know, your common vegetables. But like potatoes was not on there. Like I said, it was a vegetable, not a starch. I think potatoes are vegetables. I'm not getting into that debate. Anyhow, I don't think potatoes were on that list, if I remember correctly. Oh, we're getting to the end. Here we go. We just got done with ages ago for the background music, and now we're in Paradise Island. Let's take a moment to stop as we get done with the very first foods. And let's do a little reminder of I am that exciting dude. You're listening to Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. And you can find me on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch as I stream games and sometimes just me bullshitting around. Alright. Now, to conclude with the very first foods, there was one source that I found of probably the 14, 16 places that I just corroborated between. There was only one place that talked about how there was actually turkey at the very first one. Is it true? Not true? I don't know. No idea. So then I got thinking about, okay, all families have their own traditions, everyone makes those same foods, but, they might doctor it up or do little things differently that are, different than the next family over. Does it mean one's better than the other? No. It's all great food in the end. It's all amazing food in the end. So I'm not going to talk about all the different types of foods because there's thousands of... Oh my god, when I searched this, whoa, I was about to have a heart attack. I was like, I'm going to be here all night. I'm never going to get the podcast. So finally I just had to roll with one webpage, just roll with what was on their list. And you can either agree, you can disagree, you can say you need to add X or Y or Z. And, it is what it is. So, again, we're just here to have some fun. That exciting dude, we're just here. I'm here to entertain you. Hopefully keep you nice and vibing for the morning or day or whenever you're listening to this podcast. So, let's dig into what is the most traditional Thanksgiving foods. Now, obviously, you have the turkey. And there's a couple of different ways that people like to do the turkey. There's many more ways to do the turkey, but I'm just going to talk about just a few of the many ways that people will do whatever to the bird to prepare it, to make it, to cook it. I guess this would be more cooking. The more I look at this is defined. You have your traditional oven-ate it, oven times. You throw it in the oven with all the spices or, whatever you do to your turkey. Then you have your grilled turkey. And then a very popular one that's surfacing up is the deep fried turkey. And I'm sure there's many more. I'm sure there's many more options out there. Maybe an open fire pit. Alright, so moving on with the traditional Thanksgiving foods. Let's first get a background music going. I'm getting a little parchy here, so guess what we are going to... That's right, take a sip. Take a sip. Alright, so next up on the list for the traditional Thanksgiving foods is stuffing, mashed potatoes, gravy, cranberry sauce, corn, green bean casserole, candied yams, then pumpkin pie and pecan pie. All good stuff, if you ask me. And if you don't know, then you should know. That's all I'm going to say. So this next list, again, there's so much that could be added to the list. There's so many more things that people could do. Again, I'm not talking about how people make stuff. It's just a list of the items that are most common in a lot of the Thanksgiving, feasts out there. Alright, so we're going to start with, the dinner rolls, Brussels sprouts, cornbread, deviled eggs, macaroni and cheese, a roast ham, roast beef, butternut squash soup, a Waldorf salad, a green salad, baked beans, scalloped potatoes, maple glazed carrots, sweet potato casserole, apple cider, wine, apple pie, cherry pie, and pumpkin cheesecake. And again, there are many more things out there. And obviously between all of those items that I've listed, between the 10 for traditional, and the 12 it'd be 19. So of the whole list, combining it for a lot of those items, there's many ways to just prepare everything, what you add into it, put together, and that's what makes it amazing and great. Being around the family, having that good uncle fight going on. There's always a fight in every family, let's face it. There's always arguments that go on. And that's what makes family time the best at Thanksgiving. Because you watch football, you argue, get stuffed, fall asleep because of turkey. And, the chemical. Oh, I had this up too. Oh, man. We got to get this up again. So, how, we all talk about the, the turkey chemical that makes you fall asleep. Let's see if I can find, I didn't find the website. See, this website. Alright, again, this is something that I did on the fly when I supposedly did the podcast. So, again, you can take it with a grain of salt, or you cannot take it with a grain of salt. So, the chemical that's in turkeys, that's natural, it's called tryptophan. 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 And basically what makes you tired is not so much this chemical alone, but it's a combo of things with this chemical that brings your body to be tired. And what it is it's carbs. So think about all the carbs that you eat with Thanksgiving. You got your stuffing, you got your all your breads, potatoes, peas, corn, and then just whatever you're drinking with it. It could be a sugar drink, you can have a soda with it, and then your desserts. So you pack all of that with turkey, which is most of your plate if you think about it. And it makes sense. Think about it. You have a big breakfast, a lot of eggs. That has tryptophan in it, but you might not have any toast. So you're not really tired, are you? So there's certain little things that, it makes sense. To me, it makes sense. Maybe to you it doesn't make sense, but to me, it makes sense. Alright, that is all that I had for Thanksgiving. Speaking of Thanksgiving, I'm going to end it with this. I had a pre-Thanksgiving dinner tonight. Oh, it was so good. It was so good. I did not have everything on that list. A few items on that list, but it was amazing. But I can't wait for Thanksgiving to get here. I will be working, but I will be thinking of all of you as you are sitting down with your families, eating turkey, gobble gobble. This is That Exciting Dude, and you have just listened to an episode of Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans. If this is the first one you're catching, please catch more. You go back and, get the rest of the episodes. You can start from beginning, or you can just listen from here on out. Whatever you do, but put it on your playlist. Share it to your friends. This is That Exciting Dude, Stories, Lies, and Shenanigans, and you know the ending way.